Okay, thank you. Now, I would like to ask my question now to Secretary Mar and General Espina. We've had several hearings already in public order and dangerous drugs, the committee. Aside from the hearings that we've had under that committee, we've had hearings also for our budget. And our job is not just to legislate, but also oversight. And one of the items that we've been asking about is establishing a civilian head of the Internal Affairs Unit of the PNP, which is in the Republic Act 8551. And for me, well, this is our 16th Congress. We're almost 3 years in this 16th Congress. And until now, a uniformed PNP officer is still heading this. You are the DILG representative, secretary. Have you made recommendations of names that could possibly fill that position, a civilian who will have no biases? Because I believe that if from the beginning, charges of corruption or anomalies within the PNP was handled by a civilian civilian personnel, then we would maybe, there's a bigger possibility that we would not have reached this point wherein, I'm sorry, General Purisima, but a suspended officer is in charge of the operation, or at least involved in the operations in Mama Sapano. Please, sir, I would like to hear your opinion on this.
Thank you, ma'am. This is an ongoing challenge for us, both structural and on a personnel basis. On a personnel front, I have asked various respected members of the administration in the justice side as well as in the regulation side for possible names that could fill this position.
So who makes that appointment?
Well, let me get to the structural side. On the structural side, one of the things that we need to change is to whom the IAS reports, because the IAS, by its structure, reports to the chief PNP. So it is still part of that reporting system. So even if you put a civilian there, if his office, his budget, his everything is dependent on chief PNP, whoever the chief PNP is, that's not truly independent.
Yes, Secretary, I would appreciate actually a position like that. I would have appreciated it months ago, so that we could have incorporated it in our bills with regards to PNP modernization. On the other hand, I see your point here, sir. I think that maybe I could ask a commitment from you. First of all, I understand it's a structural problem. So to help us craft the perfect bill for this that will help you, if you can submit to us a description of what you need. Number two, possible names or a timeline wherein, in the meantime, we have that structure, we can still appoint somebody else to head the Internal Affairs Unit, correct?
We will comply, ma'am, by first thing next week.
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate it because we've been requesting that from General Purisima. Unfortunately, he was suspended, so he wasn't able to follow up on that. Next is, we are trying to figure out where we failed in the operations, in strategy, but let's not forget, of course, the families of the victims here. And I know that the President has established together with you, and I commend you for this, a one-stop shop when you had it in Camp Crame, for them to be able to process their benefits. On the other hand, sir, I still hear, meron pa rin pong mga pamilya ng biktima, no, na nagsasabi, meron nga silang liaison officer para tumulong sa kanilang mag-asikaso ng papeles. Pero maaari bang mahingi sa inyong tanggapan ang listahan, ang dokumento kung ano ang mga requirements na kailangan para sa mga recipients para matanggap nila ang kanilang benepisyo. So yung requirements na yun, kasi po, may isang nagsabi sa akin, isang asawa ng isang staff officer na nagsabi, Ma'am, kailangan pa namin i-publish sa dyaryo ang iba't ibang mga dokumento namin for proof that there's parang may ganun na assertion. I'm not sure if it's true, so I'd like to have that from you because I don't think we should burden them with too much paperwork. Otherwise, it would really defeat the purpose. Another thing is, the government has promised to give them scholarships for their children, sir. So is there a contract that will prove that? Because as you know, if the administration changes and also the leadership within the PNP, we would want them to have something that will prove that indeed these children who are still at their infancy at this point will still be able to benefit from that when they're in college. Do we have that, sir?
Thank you, ma'am. Let me address the last point first. No? The scholarship for the children is ironclad. No? But we understand that they may have some concern that o baka next year, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, when my 2-year-old is now ready to enter school, baka magkalimutan. No? So we will issue such a document that's already being worked on. That was brought up in that one-stop shop day, and that's already being worked on in the nature of a certificate that they can then present at the time when their child, who may be at 1 year old or 2 years old now, enters kinder. No? So that is on the benefits. Madam Chair, we will submit to you on an item by item, person by person. The last review that I had was last week, and from the presentation, everything is working sort of as per regulation. No? And by regulation, I don't mean matagal. Precisely, we assigned an attending officer na ang trabaho lang niyan is every day, every agency, asikasuhin kung ano ang pangangailangan sa bawat ahensya. No? And to help navigate the bureaucracy, the paperwork, and all of the other things, because all of the families are not Metro Manila based. And eventually, even if they file in the regions or in the provinces, it will just take forever for that to be processed here. So there is a Manila-based attending officer who is liaising directly with every family. But we'll be happy to give you by Friday, Wednesday. By Friday, I don't know if tomorrow's a holiday or not, but if it's not, then we can give it to you tomorrow, whatever is the status on a per family basis.
Well, if you have that, that doesn't burden your office too much. But what I was asking for, sir, is a document or instructions from your office on the paperwork that they need to submit in order to receive the benefits. Like, for example, marriage contract, birth certificates of children. So that we know if they're unnecessarily having to comply with too much paperwork or it's just the normal process. So that's what we're asking for. And number two, also the exact benefits that each family can expect. So scholarships, housing if ever, how much for burial expenses, etc. And then the status of the families only if you already have that.
Yes, ma'am, that is available. In fact, certain lump sums have already been released ahead of the fulfilling of all the other dotting of I's and crossing of T's para meron ng substantial sort of amount to help them weather or bridge this early period. No? I know that by middle of March, the automatic pensions will kick in the ATM for each one of the 44 families. All the other requirements are, like, for example, children and so on and so. I mean, the birth certificates. There are instances, kasi ma'am, where there is offspring that's not in the marriage. So our policy is, so long as acknowledged by the father, even if in the marriage, so long as acknowledged, then eligible to receive the full benefit. So these are the things.
Acknowledged by the father, but what if the father is no longer around to acknowledge? And
No,
the
when
child...
in the birth certificate,
Oh, yeah, in the birth certificate,
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basta merong dokumento na, in other words, we are interpreting every regulation
Liberally.
for the benefit of the family.
Okay, thank you. That's reassuring, and we commend you also for following up on this. We've seen how you're very hands-on with the families, and the President also made an effort in this. But now I would like to direct my question to Chairman Iqbal. Again, Chairman, thank you for attending our hearings, it's really important for you to give a voice for your group, to allay our fears and to give us confidence in our peace talks. Now, sir, as you know, do you recognize that this is a question that was sent to me and expounded on? What did you feel when, ano pong naramdaman nyo nung nakita nyo si General Espina sinabi, overkill yung nangyari sa kanyang mga pulis? Ano pong naramdaman ninyo?
Ang tingin ko sa kanya, professional. Siya professional police.
Nung sinabi mong, nung nakita nyo pong nagdadalamhati siya at sinabi niyang overkill yung nangyari sa mga kapulisan, ang naramdaman niyo po ay professional si General Espina? Ganun po ba?
Ganun po ba? At saka sinabi ko sa kanya nung magyakapan kami na we are not enemies.
Opo. Doon po kasi sa mga autopsy reports, yung mga iba nga, siguro na baril at close range or kung ano-ano pa, nakikita kasi po natin, anong nangyayari po yun doon sa video na in-upload, meron pong sinisigaw yung bumabaril na parang to the greater glory of God o I mean, hindi ko alam yung direct translation kasi noon eh. No, ngayon, kaya ko po tinatanong sa inyo ito. Sapagkat do you recognize na sa iba't ibang relihiyon, do you recognize in different religions, there are different ways of practicing rituals or faith. At ganun din po sa Islam. Hindi po ba may iba-iba ding grupo, iba't iba rin ang kanilang paggawa ng kanilang ritual. Tama po ba?
Sa Islam, isa lang po. At least within 24 hours, kailangan may libing po.
Yung mga ritual na pareho sa lahat. Pero katulad yan po, sabihin na natin, ito yung example na binigay sa akin. Katoliko, meron pong striktong katoliko, meron pong non-practicing, meron sinasabi nilang Opus Dei. May mga ibang katoliko na nagpapapako sa krus, halimbawa. May mga ibang katoliko na dumuluhod, nagro-rosaryo, iba't iba po ang interpretasyon minsan ng tradisyon. Kaya ko po to sinasabi sa inyo kasi po ganito. Meron po sa Islam na sinasabi para sa kanilang reliyon, sila ay pumapatay. Kaya ko po ito ibinabalik sa inyo sapagkat kung magkakaroon po tayo ng kasunduan at kasama po ang MILF, no, kayo po ang magpapatakbo ng inyong teritoryo. Kung meron pong isang grupo na Islam rin ang kanilang relihiyon, subalit ang kanilang pag-practice ng kanilang reliyon ay hindi katulad nung sa inyo. Halimbawa, pumapatay sila pero dahil ito sa paniniwala nila sa Diyos, ano pong hakbang gagawin ninyo dito?
Alam po ninyo, meron isang hadith. Ang ibig sabihin ng hadith, yung practice o yung sinabi ng Propeta Muhammad, peace be upon him, na yung isang tao, isang Muslim na pumatay ng isang tao na walang kasalanan, as if na pinatay niya lahat ng tao dito sa mundo.
Pero alam niyo po, yung pagdetermina kasi na may kasalanan, kung sa inyo walang kasalanan, pero kung sa kanila, ang tingin nila ay may kasalanan ang umaapi sa kanila, o inaapi ang kanilang lakas o samahan, yan ay justification. So, paano po ngayon? Kunyari, kayo na po ang namamahala ng arm, ng MILF na, autonomous na yung inyong lugar. At merong nagpasabog ng isang lugar. Pero kilala ninyo, kamag-anak ninyo, ginawa yun dahil sa reliyon. Ano pong magiging hakbang ninyo?
That's plain and simple terrorism po.
So para sa inyo, you consider that as terrorism?
Yes.
And you condemn that?
Yes. And the role has to go after them.
So this is not an issue of looking the other way because yun po yung isa din na sinasabi natin eh. Pag meron kayong sarili na ninyong nag-iimbestiga, sa ngayon ayaw ninyong isurrender ang inyong mga tao sapagkat meron pa kayong status na rebelde pa or under negotiation with the government. But when the time comes at nagkasala, ay kailangan talagang iharap. Yun po yung sa amin. At hindi po ito magiging parang poprotektahan lang ang sa inyo at ang magiging kalakaran doon ay parang safe haven ng mga terorista. Hindi naman po siguro yun ang inyong pakay dyan.
Hindi ganoon ho. Kasi alam nyo, pag halimbawa itong proseso natin ay nagtagumpay, magdidecommission na po ang MILF.
So, yun po yung salamat sa paglilinaw dahil yun din ang pumapasok sa isipan ng iba. Paano mo papagalitan ng isang tao kung ginagawa niya yan dahil sa kanyang reliyon? Next point na lang po. Um, naalala po ba ninyo yung pag-rescue doon kay Father Nacorda noong 1994? Naalala po ba ninyo yun?
Maraming pari po ang na-resolve o na-libre po. Si Father Senot, Father Benedetti, Father Bossi.
Kasi po, kaya po ito natanong sapagkat sinasabi po na yung misencounter po, 1 oras lang tumagal dahil ang MILF ay may control dun sa ground, yung sa kanilang ground commanders. Kaya ko po ito sinasabi, sa Mama Sapano po, kailangan talagang sa aming committee report, titignan din po namin kung paano kasi nagkaroon ba ng control talagang MILF o hindi talaga nakayanan.
Wala ho, kasi biglaan po yun eh. Actually, kaya nga mahirap yung communication kasi hindi alam yung commander doon sa ground.
So, iiwanan na lang po natin yan sa ganyan ngayon, pero patuloy pa rin ang pag-iimbestiga at para sa akin po, nais ko na lang tapusin na itong hearing na ito dahil ang trabaho pa namin ay na hindi pa natatapos dito. Meron pa kaming gagawin na committee report na isusumitin natin dito sa mga nadinig natin dito, sa mga pagdinig dito at yung mga ibang pwedeng isiwalat doon sa executive session. Now, in closing, these hearings have necessarily focused on the undeniable lapses in the conduct of operations leading to 44 deaths on the PNP, SAF. It appears that the operation was poorly planned from the start. To make matters worse, there was an undeniable breakdown of both leadership and command and control in the PNP. Information about Operation Exodus was deliberately withheld from the Secretary of Interior and Local Government and the officer in charge of the PNP. Ito po malinaw. Umpisa pa lang, yun na yung ating pinag-uusapan. The PNP did not coordinate with nearby units of the Armed Forces of the Philippines until both the 84th and the 55th Special Action Companies were already heavily engaged in firefights with hostile forces. Yun din po, malinaw. In the joint committee report that we are preparing, the committees will propose legislative actions necessary to avoid repetition of this incident in the future. We will be making recommendations with respect to the proposed PNP modernization program, which is pending before Congress. Hindi lang po paghahanap ng kasalanan, pero para din po palakasin ang ating mga pulis na nakita naman natin may kagitingan na pinakita dito at patuloy na nagpapakita ng kagitingan. Kaya lang po minsan meron din sa hanay nilang nagkakamali. Kaya hindi nila nagagawa ng tama ang kanilang trabaho. We should not forget that the majority of the SAF 44 lost their lives at the hands of firefighters apparently belonging also to the MILF and our so-called partner on the ongoing peace process. Many of the SAF 44 were shot at close range as they lay injured at the now infamous cornfields in Mama Sapano. They were stripped of their weapons, equipment, uniform, and even their personal belongings. They were treated with ignominy with videos of their corpses posted on the internet. Hence, of equal, if not greater importance to our nation, is the impact of the Mama Sapano incident on the ongoing peace process which the government is undertaking with the MILF. We are one in the search for a lasting peace in Mindanao. Every effort must be exerted to achieve this goal. However, there can be no peace without justice. A peace agreement that allows the slaughter of our law enforcers because they did not coordinate their operation with the other party is certainly flawed. It is not an excuse for the commission of a crime. For this representation, the Joint Committee report will not be credible or acceptable to our people unless we examine the Mama Sapano incident in the context of the ongoing peace process with the MILF. The efforts of our government to arrive at a just, sustainable, and lasting peace in Mindanao, while ensuring the socio-economic, political, and cultural equity, must not be at the expense of our sovereignty and national integrity. The laws of our republic must be enforceable and enforced within our territorial boundaries without exception. Our way forward as a nation after this incident can be summarized in 3 words: our aspiration of the truth, katotohanan, justice, katarungan, and kapayapaan, peace. Katarungan, as earlier stated, the Joint Committee report will contain findings on the different culpabilities of government officials and personalities who may be held liable for this tragedy. Kapayapaan, it has long been our dream to have peace in Mindanao. It has been said that peace can only be achieved through compromise and mutual concessions. Before our government compromises with and grants concession to the MILF, we must be sure that the peace which we attain is both permanent and all-encompassing. Peace must be reached without compromising our sovereignty or the territorial integrity of our country. The peace we achieve must be in full accord with the Constitution. The events in Mama Sapano on January 25, 2015, after we had signed peace agreement with the MILF, shows that the peace brought about by the peace agreement is not permanent, but is fleeting and temporary. All that we need to break the peace was a police law enforcement operation or near territory controlled by the MILF. The peace agreement with the MILF is not all-encompassing, as again shown by our Mama Sapano experience. We must negotiate in a position of strength. And sa kalahatan ng ating mga testimonya, nagtuturo sa kung ano ang pinakamalaking naging problema sa operasyon kay Marwan. Ang malinaw po ay ang pagkawala rin ng tiwala natin sa isa't isa. Sa ngayon po, malaki na ang naibuwis natin upang makamit ang kapayapaan, hindi lang po sa pulis at sa militar, pati na rin po sa ating mga kapatid sa Mindanao. Aatras pa ba tayo ngayon? Ngunit ang pagsulong ng kapayapaan ay hindi nangangahulugan na pikit mata nating ibibigay ng walang hustisya at patas na kasunduan ang lahat ng hinihingi. Utang natin sa mga naulila ang hustisya sa pagkamatay ng kanilang ama, kapatid o anak. Pero huwag nating kalimutan na obligasyon ng bawat henerasyon na itaguyod ang kapayapaan. Sinabi nga, hindi tayo ang nagmamay-ari ng kinabukasan, kundi ang ating mga anak. And with this, be assured that when we put together our committee report, we will do our utmost to be fair and to include all information that was submitted to us. It is a challenge, a daunting one, just for the sheer volume of information that we have to go through. But our goal is to be fair, and our goal is to help to bring about justice. And so, once again, I would like to thank our resource persons for your presence almost in all our hearings. Secretary Mar, now I think is the time to acknowledge all of you. General Espina, Secretary Mar, Secretary Gasmin, Secretary Laila de Lima, General Alan Purisima, Yusek Musngi, Yusek Evan Garcia, General Pangilinan, General Guerrero, General Katapang, General Napeñas, Secretary Deles, General Telino, Professor Ferrer, and of course, Chairman Iqbal, also for your presence, and General Orense, General Galvez, Yusek Garcia. And for those who I may not have mentioned, but who were present also in our past hearings from the local government, Governor Mujib Hataman, from the local government, Mayor Ampatuan, and all those who made this information, made available the information to us to be able to come up with our committee report. So with that, our meeting is adjourned. Our hearings is adjourned.